And I was muted. Hello. What's up, everyone? Like we're getting some new ESO news today. What's up, Booch? And of the gods, hello. Stuff. Morvan, hello. ZJ. Welcome to the season 2 of Elder Scrolls Online 2025. We're so happy to hop to you. Oh my god, ZJ. I'm gonna have to time you out for a little bit for that one. Stop. Hello. Hey, Sean. What's up, Liam? What's up, Belmont? How y'all doing? We'll be streaming on both Twitch and YouTube today, so if you see me talking to someone you don't see, that's what's up. I have the chat going on the bottom left, though, so hopefully y'all can see what other people are saying on the other platform, too. Oh, you saw me in this stream? Nice. Yeah. I think, yeah, he was listening to some Pink Floyd. I made a comment. I'm really liking PoE 2. I'm kind of going slow because I started one character that I'm doing a group playthrough with. I'm playing with Nolandia. And then I had too much of the itch to keep playing when she wasn't around too, so I started another character. So I have like 2 level 30 plus characters right now. So I'm only in Act 3. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun. Nolandia hard character. Yeah, exactly. Am I growing a Santa beard? It's pretty short at the moment. We'll see. Hey, Sanira, how you doing? See talking to someone on chat, you just assume I'm crazy. That you can do that too. Yeah, for sure. Sound exhausted? I get enough sleep? Yeah. It's just I literally woke up, ate breakfast, took a shower, and then sat down and the letter was posted, so I started my stream. So yeah, I'm good. Tom Nook, hello. For the follow. What is Overland? Overland is the content where you do your quests and you have delves and public dungeons and world bosses and all that stuff. So we'll give it just a few minutes and then I'll get into this letter. So we have a letter from the studio director, Matt Fyror, for 2025 and beyond. Hey, Tom. Morning, Luthien. Overland needs a difficulty update. Well, you're gonna be pleased. I don't know all the specifics yet. We're about to get into it and see what we got here. Need to make world bosses less difficult? Kind of disagree. If you've ever done a world boss during an event, maybe they should buff them for the events. Like, if there's a Somerset event, they buff all the Somerset world bosses. So that they're... Because if you ever do a world boss in an event, it just... You go up If you're not there in the first 10 seconds, it's dead. Like, but I can see like going through one of the older zones by yourself. It could be rough. You show up by yourself. Yeah. But that's the thing, Shed, is they're not technically meant to be soloed, right? So I think they should be hard to solo. Because they're made to get a group of people and go out there and do it. Overland's what you do on a touchpad while you're watching your shows. Trial dummy in every city. I don't think so. Never thought they'd do it either, Hale. Yeah. We've been begging for it for years and years. Sorry, my throat is jacked up right now. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need more water. Yeah, give me just a sec. I'm gonna go get some more water. And
hi.
Then we'll start reading the letter. Overland. Ah, dang. Overland's the content that people hate the most mid-end game. Almost wish it worked like Guild Wars 1, where the towns were shared, but the zones were instance per player. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that, honestly. Well, if the letter doesn't end with the words, personally make sure that wardens can one bar the bear. I don't think that's going to be in there. All right. I'll be right back. Give me just a sec.
Who's a bald capybara?
Skin Abby spin skin crazy call skin Kevin judging.
Hey, Tech. We have a cat right here.
Who's a bald capybara?
Thank you for the thank you for the 10 months, Tech, and thank you for the 10 months, Fizz.
Just read it. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. It's an interesting one for sure.
All the cat. Here's Mr. Floyd. Chilling. Got him a little blanket over here. I got some cough drops too. I'm gonna eat one of these because my throat is jacked up. I don't know what's going on. I don't feel bad. Snuggled up with Fig in a blanket at the office. Nice. He's chewing your bagels. Bad Fig. All right. They can pull off the Tussin. Hey, what's up, Wow? I miss you too. Gosh. Sorry about all the coughing. All right. Y'all ready? Let's do this. Maybe I should do some jumping jacks first, like get warmed up, you know? All right. Let's see what he's got to say. Studio Director's Letter 2025 and beyond. Cinemax Online Studios Studio Director Matt Fyror talks about another big year for the Elder Scrolls Online and some of the even bigger changes coming to the game in 2025 and beyond. As the year's drawing to a close, I'm going to take some time to walk you through my thoughts on 2024 and look ahead to 2025 and how ESO will be evolving to meet the changing needs of the community. Sorry about the coughing. Yeah, I mean, already, this is something that I've talked about a lot with them. MexDev with the 7 months, thank you very much. In the past, it's often felt like they really stick to certain ideas and philosophies and feedback for long periods of time and kind of like hold true to those things and haven't really accounted for the fact that people's wants and needs drastically change over time. It's not that people don't know what they want. They want what they want when they want it. And as time goes on, that changes. And so as a game studio, you have to keep up. If you have a live service game, you have to keep up with what's going on there and what people are wanting. So this first line, I think, is very in touch. CNEX, hello. Thank you very much. Appreciate the 44 months. First, a few notes about 2024. I probably say this every year, but 2024's ESO content was among my favorite. Love the vibe and story of Gold Road, and now that Home Tours is allowing me to see so many other people's homes, I'm seriously considering making Maryvine Estate my main house, although it will take a lot to unseat me from Mornoth Keep. 2024 showed that we are still creating wonderful content for all of our players. We ended the year with 2 new companions. Some fun tweaks to Battlegrounds. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry. I'm interested in 2025, to be honest. We already know what happened in 2024. Amsterdam event was amazing. I was able to go to that. Sadly, they did cancel the NA event for 2025. Didn't really give much info on that. But yeah, the Amsterdam one was awesome. All right, looks like we're moving forward now to 2025, so let's see what he's got to say. All right. Now it's time to look forward, which will comprise most of this end-of-year message. Change is a constant, especially in gaming. The gaming industry changes, player habits change, other games come and go. In fact, change has been constant since ESO launched in 2014. We have been able to keep up with the times, make hard decisions and big changes when it was time to make them. Looking back on all the changes that have gotten us here, it's pretty clear that we have generally made the right decisions at the right times for our game. And now we're looking forward to 2025 and how we can change ESO to keep it relevant, awesome, and compelling. Okay. So obviously they have made a lot of good decisions because we wouldn't all be sitting here talking about it and we wouldn't be playing ESO. But to say generally made the right decisions at the right times, I think is given a little bit more credit than the reality of it. There have been a lot of patches with a lot of backlash, so I don't know if that's super accurate. Nalandia with the tier 3. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Who's a bold capybara?
ZJ with the 15 months. Thank you very much. Historical revisionism. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to like crap on them or anything. Like, they've obviously made a lot of good decisions with the game, but they've made, just to be blunt, they've made a lot of bad decisions with the game too. And I think that's part of the collective frustration around ESO, is the player base seeing a lot of the potential of where the game's trajectory could have gone and what could have been done and what was done instead. So yeah, I don't really agree with that line there, to be completely honest. But yeah, we'll see how they can change ESO to keep it relevant, awesome, and compelling. Since 2017, we have released amazing content and systems every year, but always on the same schedule. This annual cadence pushed the team to focus on short deadlines every June, where all types of content, systems, contents, zones, etc. had to be completed at the same time, and has not left us much time for experimentation or thinking about doing things differently. Yeah, that's been a big point of feedback that's been given. Nina with the 40 months, thank you very much. Thank you. Hope you're doing all right. Biz said, it is pretty clear is the kicker, makes it seem like anyone that disagrees doesn't have a leg to stand on. Yeah, I think that is, I'd agree with you there, saying it's pretty clear that we have generally made the right decisions. I don't think it's pretty clear. You know, you can say the game is successful after 10 years, and that's true. But you don't know like how much more successful it could have been if other decisions were made, right? So I don't think it's pretty clear, right? Yeah. Anyways, so I think it's good. They're revisiting the annual cadence. At the end of last year, we gave a slight heads up that we would be shaking things up. Our lead times are so long that we were already planning for some of these changes back then. And I'm very happy to say, starting in 2025, you'll see new ideas and ways of launching content start rolling out. Hey Shades, hey Nobu. Hey Zelius. Oh snap. Plain and Pretty with the 5 gift bomb. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. It's pretty clear that the game would have been more popular if they hadn't done update 35. Yeah, exactly. Hey Elwood. Hey Jamorov. Hey Gertruzi. Hey Sandra. Thank you again, Plain and Pretty. Appreciate that. Okay. Solo, we'll see if they're cooking something. We're just getting into the letter. Yeah, we're just getting into it. All right, next section here. Turning the page on chapters. Let's see what you did there. We have been incredibly successful with our strong annual chapter releases, starting with Morrowind in 2017, up through Gold Road just 6 months ago. Zone design and quest content is at the core of every Elder Scrolls game, as our annual chapter release model highlighted. We will still do lots of story content, but now, looking into 2025, we need to concentrate on different types of content to support all types of ESO players. So we are putting chapter aside and will be focusing on new types of content and a new release philosophy. More info on that below. As 2025 will be a transition year for new content, we're going to have new zone-based content launch in 2025, but you'll have to wait until April to hear the specifics about how it's different. Stay tuned. So this is different here. Normally they do the global reveal in January, and it looks like we're not getting it till April this year. All right. Introducing seasons. Over the course of 2025, we will be moving more towards a seasonal content model and away from launching massive content updates once a year, as we did with chapters. We will be talking much more about this in the future, but in 2025, expect to see named seasons of 3 or 6 months duration with a mix of themed story content, events, store items, dungeons, and more. 2025 will be a mix of old and new as we move the dev team towards creating smaller, bite-sized pieces of content. We will still have some larger items that we've been working on for over a year, which you'll see launch as well. Freeing up the dev team from needing to adhere to a strict annual cycle means we will be able to have teams launch content when it is ready throughout the year and not work to a date in June. This will let us focus on a greater variety of content spread over the year. This supports the new seasons model and will enable us to release content updates, fixes, and systems in a more efficient manner. Yeah, I mean, I think this is fine. I think the big kicker is, will we still get roughly the same amount of new things added? Is this just a is this a new way for them to do it, or is this a way for them to scale back how much they're adding by kind of like repackaging it as something different? And only time will really tell on that one. You know, like if there's no chapter and there's no like big new zone. I mean, they said there's going to be a new zone. Will that still include a new trial every time? Will that still be like once a year that we get a new trial? Will we still get dungeons once a year? There's a lot of unanswered questions here. All right. Let's see what comes up next. A new focus on change and experimentation. We have been hearing from you, the community, that we need to experiment more to shake things up and not be so predictable. That is 100%. Yeah. The game needs new and different types of content and for long-standing feedback to be addressed. We've already started on some ideas that will be tested in 2025. These systems and ideas will be clearly marked as experiments in patch notes and are ideas that may or may not be fleshed out into full game systems. With our new focus on breaking up content into seasons and away from years, it gives us time to do these experiments and changes. I mean, that's the good thing about a season, right? You can bring in a mechanic. I mean, you see this in Diablo and Path of Exile. other types of games that do seasons, you can bring in a new mechanic with the season. If people aren't really that big on it, when the season's over, the mechanic can go away, and that's that. But if you bring in a new mechanic with a season and everyone's like, oh, this is awesome, we love this, please don't drop this when the season's over, then it can be integrated into the actual base game. And I think that's a really good way of doing stuff like that, because, you know, sometimes you will swing and miss, but it's not that big a deal if it's just like, okay, this is a 3-month period where this new system we're trying out didn't work out. I think that works a lot better. All right, so here are some of the ideas that they're working on, some of which you may see on live servers as tests in 2025 and beyond. Some of these will be tests and some will be improvements based on player feedback. Waits says, how about bringing in a rework to 95% of the game sets that are never used? Yeah, I was really a big proponent of that, and actually spent several months of my life, like hundreds of hours working on that very thing and trying to push for that. So I completely agree with you, Waits. I think that would be huge. All right, so we need to seriously address serial performance. Our ambitious goal is to return it to the concurrency levels we supported in 2014. We'll be experimenting with a serial campaign where all classes will have PvP-specific and more performance skills that replace the standard player skills, with the expectation that we can support more players per campaign. I think this is an interesting test to run. I'm glad they're keeping it in a campaign. So for people that don't want to participate in this kind of playtest, they don't have to participate in it, you know. But if they can cook up like some really good, more performant alternatives to like morphs of skills, I don't know exactly what they mean by they'll have PvP specific skills. If that means when you go into the Cyrodiil campaign, your skills actually change and are slightly different versions in Cyrodiil that perform better. I think that's what they mean there. Or if you'll have like a limited, shorter selection of skills to pick from. It's not really clear. But I think that's a cool test to run. And, you know, if that works, and if you can go out in Cyrodiil and have just these giant group fights and not have 2000 ping, you know, it could be a cool way to handle that. It could also feel really restrictive and kind of go against the whole idea of this as an MMO, of you building your character and making choices around your build if you're like limited to very specific skills. So we'll just have to see more info on that and how they're doing that. Hey, St. Crow. But I think it's a cool experiment to run. The part up here about seriously address Cyrodiil performance. So I've been religiously following ESO news since 2016. And he has said this in, I think, every end of year letter since then. So I appreciate that it's brought up, but I put no faith at all at this point in this. I do think it's cool that they're thinking outside the box with stuff here, but this has been said for 8+ years now, and it's still where it is, right? So I'll believe it when I see it, is how I feel about Cyrodiil performance. And that's, I'm not trying to be rude to them or anything like that. It's just, I'm just basing that in facts, right? like we've seen this in letter after letter, in forum post after forum post from the devs. We've seen this 30, 40 times in official posts at this point, and it is where it is still. So it's it's a good sentiment, but yeah. Let's move on to the next line here. Increasing the difficulty of standard overworld combat. That's what I'm talking about. This is one that I've wanted for so long. So my last zone that I've quested in was Northern Elsewhere. So Southern Elsewhere and on, I have not done. I did a little bit of Necrom when that came out, like streaming it on release. But I just get so bored in Overland content that I couldn't keep doing all the quests. I couldn't keep doing it because I was just so bored. And it was like watching a movie with just extra tedious steps, pretty much is how it felt to me. I wish they gave some more info on this, though. That's pretty vague. Introducing or increasing the difficulty of standard overworld combat. Like, is this going to be an optional thing? Is this going to be something that is felt by the player, but you're still in the same zone as other players who are not experiencing the difficulty increase? Kind of like, so Diablo 4 has has level scaling where you could be level 20, you could be next to somebody else in the world that's level 50. You're fighting the same enemy. You're seeing that enemy as level 20. They're seeing that enemy as level 50. And really what's happening is it's all percent based. And so it all just kind of like, it's all smoke and mirrors, essentially. And so I wonder if they could do something with Overland difficulty like that, where you could ramp up the difficulty for yourself, but be playing alongside of people that maybe don't want that increase. Or if they just completely separate it and say, hey, I can choose, I want to play on Veteran Overland or whatever. And then it's just a completely separate instance. If they go that route with Veteran Overland, I really hope they give players that option from the beginning. Like as soon as a new player makes their first character. Because I think for a lot of gamers out there, like really long-time gamers, new players coming to ESO, even as a brand new player, the Overland can feel really easy. I've heard that from a lot of people. So being able to pick that right from the beginning and say, I want to start out in Veteran Overland, and like have that, maybe it's not as efficient, but for some people, that's not really what matters. They want like a more challenging playthrough going through the story of a game. I think Path of Exile 2 just came out and kind of gives people that, like, there's no option in that. You're just stuck with the harder difficulty there. But like there are a lot of players out there that would really like a challenge in going through the actual meat and potatoes of the game. Like the way it is now is the biggest chunk of the game, like 80-90% of the game is not engaged with by a lot of people. So like for me, the Overland is just boring, just to be blunt. It's boring. I don't do it. And so the trials, the dungeons, certain group activities, PvP, like IA, stuff like that, you're kind of relegated to that area if you want any kind of challenging gameplay. So opening that world up to the whole game. Now, I will say I do think this needs to be optional, because I think a lot of people don't want that challenge, and they don't want Overland to be any more difficult than it is. They just want to go through and be able to mash their hands on their keyboard or controller and not worry about dying. And that is fine. Like, that is not an invalid way to want to play a game. But neither is wanting to actually have a challenge and engaging playthrough with the story content of the game. Like, I think both sides are fine. So to have that option would just be the best of both worlds there. Like Path of Exile 2, I've been having a blast. I've died so many times. But then you beat a boss and it just feels so good, and the story bosses actually last a while you're fighting them. And there's just this really good feeling when you're done, and it feels like a real threat, like a real boss. Whereas in ESO, you fight a boss that's supposed to be this big world threat and you kill them in like 8 seconds, and it's just like, I can't trick myself into feeling like this matches up. It just doesn't work. And they try to put in like health gates and stuff and force you to do mechanics to get around that a little bit, but it still doesn't really work. There's no real threat there. So this is what I've been hoping for the game for a really long time, you know, and maybe a little selfishly, because I have from 2019 on in questing to still do that I haven't done yet, and to have that all opened up with a harder difficulty for me to experience for the first time sounds amazing, and would revitalize a lot with this game for me and make me really interested in going through all of that, because I just can't bring myself to do it in the current state. And like I said, this is no knock on anyone else that prefers different kinds of play styles or anything. I enjoy a lot of that too. Like in Diablo 4, I go through and I just mash my buttons and I kill stuff and it's fun. I definitely like that too. But I don't like that as much for like going through a story in a game and trying to immerse myself in a story. It just doesn't, I don't know. It just doesn't fit as well for me. So I hope there's options. I hope they don't force people that like the current difficulty into this. But I hope they give that option in a nice way for those that have been wanting it. All right. Next thing here is improving the overall feel of combat with animation, effects, and potential audio work. Yeah, I mean, I'd say this is one of ESO's weaknesses. I don't really mind it so much as a veteran player, but for new players, this is a lot more important, and this can really kind of make the game not feel as fun or as interesting or impactful, I guess, when you're in combat. Especially like with a lot of the animations not fully playing out, and it just, you know, when you're watching someone in combat, like say you're watching someone stream, a lot of a lot of setups that people use and engage in combat with, you can't really see what they're doing in combat. It's just kind of a jumbled mess unless you're like watching their skill bar and seeing what buttons they're pushing. And for me, I don't really care that much. Like, you know, a lot of times my eyes are like all around in the environment anyways, like, you know, making sure I'm watching for mechanics and watching my skill timers and stuff like that. So I'm usually not just watching my characters' animations and what they look like anyway as a veteran player. But new players are. And I think some veteran players are as well. And it's really just a win-win overall here. Like, even for people that don't really care about it, it's still nice for it to look and feel better. But this is all pretty vague so far. So we'll have to see what actually comes of this. You know, because they have changed things in the past that were not very well received with animations, effects, and stuff. Like Templar's jabs, rapid strikes. They changed those up, and you know, I don't have exact numbers, but I feel like more people disliked those changes than liked them. It could be that just people that didn't like it spoke up a lot more than people that did. You know, that's always something to consider, because generally when people dislike something, they're way more vocal about it than people that like it. But I have a feeling more people disliked it than liked it with jabs and rapid strikes. So, like, I'm glad they're doing this, but it also really depends on what they do, right? But overall, so far, what I'm reading, I think, is spot on where they need to be focusing. Because they have a really unsturdy base that they just keep stacking chapter after chapter after chapter on top of. And it's like, at some point you have to shore up this foundation or it's going to crumble. And so I think they're doing exactly what they need to do with this. Saying, hey, chapter format is going out the window. We're going to move on from that. We're going to focus just on making the game better and not put these deadlines on us to meet this June quota every year. We're just going to dig into the game and make it better. And I think that's exactly what they should be doing. Let's see. Experimenting with more zones like Craglorn, although not as large in area or scope, created exclusively for high-end group and soft group content with associated gear chase. This could be really cool too. You know, imagine. So right now we have dungeons, we have trials, we have IA. This could be like a new type of group content where there's like cool gear and collectibles to get. You need to get in a group for it, but it's more like a zone that you go through and accomplish these things in. So there's quests, I'm sure there'd be like world bosses and different stuff like that. And different little like quest delves and whatnot. I think that's cool. Obviously, Craglorn didn't, they changed Craglorn from this after it was released because it didn't really go over as well as they thought. It wasn't that well received. But you know, it's a different, you know, this is a long time after Craglorn. So I think it's good to experiment more with it. Experimenting is what they're doing. And I think that is what they need to be doing. They're experimenting with Cyrodiil campaigns. What's up, Code? Variety is key. Yeah, it is. And not being predictable, which they've also addressed in this letter. Adding and refining tools to make guild recruitment, interaction, and management easier and more logical. More ideas here. And of course, we are listening to you and we'll be coming up with new ideas based on your feedback. So a new focus on change and experimentation. I think this is great. I think I'm happy to see they're moving away from the chapters. They're going to seasons, which seem to not have to launch at any specific time. They can just come out when they're ready. And then focus on change and experimentation within the game to really shore up what we already have there and work on what we have there, instead of just adding on top of this base every year. So, I mean, I've been a bit critical through this, but I do like the direction that they're going, or that they are stating that they're going. Okay, so the next section is concentrating on new and returning user experience. It's long past time that we address ESO's new and returning user experience. This game is so large at this point that we need to refine the new user experience. Our goal is to shield new players from being overwhelmed by dozens of content options presented to them on entering the world, and instead give them the essential guidance they need to enjoy the game before opening it up to all possibilities. Additionally, we have millions of players who return to the game every year after taking months to years off. It's often confusing to them what they should be doing. We need to address this by making sure the game's map and other quest information UI areas clearly show the user where they were when they left, what has been added since then, and where they will find content they will love. Here are a few of the items planned to improve the new and returning user experience. Some of these will launch in 2025, some afterwards. A new patcher with improved visuals and performance for PC. Returning to the original Whaling Prison tutorial area for all new players. This has already launched, but we'll be regularly tweaking it to improve the experience. I think this was a good idea, to just put everyone back in the Whaling Prison. This was supposed to be the way the game started. This starts off the whole main quest line, the whole idea behind that. And so to have the main quest of ESO put off as this like optional thing that you may or may not even run into. I mean, you have the lady that comes in and is like, hey, I need you for whatever, and then drugs you or knocks you out or whatever it is, whatever they changed that to. But I'm sure not everyone did that quest when the lady came up, or even realized like, hey, this is like the main story quest for the game. So putting that back in the tutorial, that's the right call, I think. Visually improving base game zones with updated textures and art assets, starting with the starter islands. These should be rolling out in March 2025. That's sooner than I thought. I think this is huge. I think this is so huge. They should do the Whaling Prison as well to start. I don't know if it's too late for that, but they should do the Whaling Prison tutorial area and the starter islands. Although the Whaling Prison looks pretty decent still, I think. Maybe they don't really need to update as much there. But this is huge. This has been asked for so many years now, because all of the newer zones just look so much better. But for most people starting the game, you know, they're not coming in and immediately, a lot of people are not coming in immediately getting ESO Plus, immediately going to all the DLC zones. Like, the base game is where most people are going to start.
Hi.
So having those zones actually look up to the quality of the newer zones, that's so big. That's so big. And March is right around the corner. We'll be seeing the starter islands updated. So that's awesome. I'm so glad they're doing this. So, I mean, that kind of goes in with what they're doing here, increasing the difficulty of the Overland, improving the feel of combat with the animation effects and audio work, and then also visually improving. They're just kind of, they're making that whole package more suitable for 2025, it sounds like. And that's what they need to do, because that is where your new player starts out. That's what they see. They might not ever get to these new updated, prettier zones, you know? Or they might just be bored out of their minds with the difficulty. Who knows? Let's see here. Next is not showing new players prologue quests or chapter quests, compass pins. The jury is still out on how Stuga will feel about this. Okay. Yeah, that's probably fine. That's just probably overwhelming. Like, there's just too many options, too many things to engage with. Sprucing up the game's PC UI, which is long overdue for a modern visual upgrade. Yeah, that's yeah, they've never updated the UI, have they? Other than like additions for new systems. But as far as like the base UI, sounds like a lot of add-ons will be broken soon. Yeah, probably. But I think this is good. What I hope they do with this, though, is leave the default UI as an option. Like, so in your settings, I mean, they could even make the new updated UI the default, but have like default or classic options. So if you like that original classic look, you can use that. You don't have to use their new updated, because I guarantee no matter how awesome they make the new UI, doesn't matter, there's gonna be people that want to keep the original. 100%. There's gonna be people that want to keep the original UI, and they're gonna be pissed off because it's gone. Add on for classic UI. Yeah. So just keep an option there. Like, I can use the new default updated UI, or I can go to the classic UI and have a toggle in the settings. Other map and UI systems still in design idea stage to make returning to the game more seamless and get you back into the action quickly. Okay, I don't know what this means exactly, but I guess they're trying to figure out that still as well. Just, I guess, what you're seeing on your map and your UI when you hop back in to kind of give you some direction. More options is always better. Yeah, I agree. Cool tips to explain what it is, maybe. Yeah, and I'm seeing games do so well with their tooltips lately. Baldur's Gate 3, Path of Exile 2. Their tooltips are so good. You can actually like hold down a button, or I think Path of Exile you hold down Alt. Baldur's Gate you press T. And it freezes the tooltip on your screen, and then you can mouse over areas of the tooltip and it'll pull up other tooltips that you can read. You can freeze those on the screen and go in that and mouse over other areas within that. And so the tooltip can be really simple on the surface, but allow the player to really dig into that as much as they want and really have clarity and explanations for all the different things going on within it. That is the modern way of doing that. Like Baldur's Gate 3 nailed it. Path of Exile 2's is a little more clunky, but you can still really dig into the tooltips well. And I'd love to see something like that for ESO. Because the tooltips give you so little information that, like, they don't one thing Path of Exile and Diablo does as well, they put tags on skills that very clearly let you know like what categories these skills are in. So even basic ones like AoE, direct damage, single target, dot, heal over time, you know, stuff, tags like that just take away the guesswork in the tooltips. That'd be huge. But I really love the idea of like being able to dig into the tooltip and like, I don't know, I think BG3 and PoE2 are at the forefront of the industry when it comes to that kind of thing. Like that's where tooltips are going and need to be. You don't have to, you should be able to do that within the game. You shouldn't have to constantly be tabbing out and looking in another window, using your second monitor or whatever to look at every little thing to understand how it works. Like, you should be able to do that within the game.
Hi.
Hovering over a damage CP and telling you which skills you currently have slotted would buff would be cool. Yeah, stuff like that would be amazing. Or, you know, just even on the skill, showing which CPs buff it. So like this is buffed by Biting Aura and Thaumaturge, you know? That kind of stuff would be great. And I think they underestimate how many people would appreciate things like that. They're like, oh, you know, our game's more casual. People don't really care about that stuff, but I think a lot of people do. I think it doesn't have to be like the base tooltip that you look at when you just highlight a skill. It doesn't have to be some like crazy, convoluted, jumbled mess of information. But right now it's just really lacking. So to be able to dig into that more would be huge. And I don't know if that's really, I don't think that's what they're addressing here, but that is another thing I think they should definitely look into. Color the skills tooltip to know the classification. That would be nice too. And then you'd start just associating that color with that damage type. Yeah, that could definitely work. All right, let's move on here. Continuing to tell great stories. With the changes to our content release model, please be assured that we are not abandoning new quest content, but we will do it in different ways than we previously have. As our focus will not be on adding giant new land masses, although we will do that from time to time. Instead, we will use existing zones and areas to tell new stories. So this tells me we're not getting a new zone once a year. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. But them saying they're not adding giant new land masses, although we will do that from time to time. makes me think they're not doing that. That's not going to be coming on a yearly interval, which I guess makes sense if they're not doing the chapters once a year in June. I think that's fine. I think some people will be disappointed by that. But for me, if they still add a trial, for instance, but like, let's say they added a mini trial that is in, I don't know, Stormhaven, right? Like, that's cool. Like, I don't really mind it. Like, to me, it doesn't have to be in a new zone, stuff like that. You know, they already do that with dungeons. Like, sometimes dungeons are in new zones, but sometimes dungeons are in zones that we already have. Yeah, Maul was in Reaper's March. You'd like more info about abilities bosses use? Says they're unique. Yeah, and one thing with the trial, especially in trials, they do it some in dungeons too. The mechanics often just ignore what the player has learned to be as mechanics. Like, you build resistances to a certain type of damage, like physical and spell or whatever. Or, you have something that reduces damage to this, but it just doesn't work for some reason. And I've never really liked that about the trial design, that they just override our base mechanics as players in ESO. Yeah, the fact that Purge barely purges any effects, it doesn't feel good. It's like we're new to the game, we're learning, we're building up, we're figuring things out, we're learning how the game works. Stuff like Purge. Now, obviously, I get why they remove Purge from certain things, but I feel like it's way overdone. It's just so way overdone. It should be an exception rather than the rule in trials. Instead, the exception is a mechanic that you can actually purge, right? And so this skill is like, oh, we'll run it in Halls of Fabrication, and that doesn't make sense. Like, this is a core mechanic of ESO, is purging negative effects. And you just pretty much disable it in trials. I think maybe there should be specific mechanics that you cannot purge, and those can really stand out and have some kind of like weight behind them, that this is a special non-purgeable mechanic. But for the most part, purge should still work. Like, it's a part of the game. But yeah, that all kind of ties back into like the UI, the tooltips, the overall way that the player experiences the game and learns the game in a way that makes sense. It's all just like, it ends up just being all this tribal knowledge. Like, there's no rhyme or reason, and you just have to memorize everything instead of it being something that is set up in a logical way where, okay, this works this way. Yeah, maybe there's a small exception in these few places, but I learned how this works in the game, and this works this way in the game. Okay, so they said, okay, so their focus will not be on adding giant new land masses, although we will do that from time to time. Instead, they'll use existing zones and areas to tell new stories. Some of these are continuing the stories in existing zones and storylines and bringing back familiar characters. New stories focused on Hallmark Elder Scrolls organizations like Dark Brotherhood, Thieves Guild, Fighters Guild, Mages Guild, splitting a large zone across multiple updates. I don't really understand that one. Is that like northern, southern, elsewhere? Is that what they mean? Like, I don't know. I don't see how that bolsters continuing to tell great stories. But all right, we're embarking on these changes to give the development team the space to find a new cadence
It's a Wade. Oh my goodness.
Tamer Shadow with the raid, with the Wade. Hopefully I typed that right. I think I did.
Hi.
Get you a shout out there. Thank you very much for the raid. Hope your stream went well. We're going through the letter from Matt Fyro right now. Working through that, talking about it. I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you again. Y'all make sure to go give Tamer a follow if you're not already. All right. So we are embarking on these changes to give the development team the space to find a new cadence that can mix new content and systems with addressing feedback, fixing issues, and adding new quests and activities to existing zones and stories. It will not be as regular as the old annual cadence, so expect season launches and new content systems and test announcements throughout the year, not necessarily in January as we have done since 2017. So the next big announcement event will be in April instead of January, and they'll announce the first season. There will be much more in the April announcement, but for that you'll have to wait. Still have content update in March 2025 on PTS as normal in January. And we'll give you more information about that sometime early in the new year. So looks like we're still getting the dungeon pack, but that will be the last of the old cadence. And then they're moving to this new thing. You've already heard the news that we will not be doing a 2025 North American community event as we originally planned. This was a difficult decision, but as shown by the planning and development changes listed here, we need to focus on the game itself for a while this year. That said, we will still see you at local community events in many territories, so stay tuned for announcements and details on those. I don't really see how that has to do with an NA big event. But I don't want to get into that, to be honest. We're not gonna know. So, and finally, my thanks to you all. Thank you so much for being part of the wonderful community that makes up this amazing online virtual world. As I've said many times before, we would not be here without you. You all have navigated many changes throughout the years and have given us invaluable feedback. It's helped steer our direction making since our beta program 2013. Have a wonderful holiday and see you in Tamriel, Matt. I think this is one of his best letters overall as far as just like breaking down what's coming. Usually they don't do that. He usually just kind of goes over what we did in the year, how it went, maybe some very small tease. So it was nice to see like a bit more opening up about the direction that the game is going. I mean, it's pretty huge. Next year's going to be a lot different for the game and the years following, it seems. So I guess, you know, overall, I think they're doing some good stuff here. I think their plans are in the right areas. Highlights for me specifically are Overland difficulty, the animations, effects, and audio work, and the visual improvements to base game zones. Those are like the big things for me. I'm really glad they're going and revisiting these things. I think moving away from the yearly chapter thing is fine. It does seem like overall they're probably moving towards just less content updates. As far as big content updates though, as someone that is not super into the new zones and stuff that much anyways, I don't know how much this will affect me. You know, like I said, if they're still adding new trials, new dungeons, but maybe the trial comes in like Stormhaven, like I said, I don't care. Like, that's cool. I don't really care where the trial is. It doesn't have to be in a brand new zone. If they're still adding in new systems, like they said they're going to experiment with new Craglorn like zones that are focused on group content, for high-end group and soft group content with associated gear chase. So I'm not sure, what is soft group content? Does that mean like you don't have to be grouped, but you're just there with other people? I think that's what that means. If they say soft group, like you're not technically grouped up, but you're not solo either. There's groups of people. World events, group delves. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure there. But I like this idea. So I think if they're still adding new trials, they're still adding new dungeons, they're still adding new types of content for groups to engage with, they're still adding new stories, I think it's probably fine. But the pessimist in me just can't help but wonder if this is just a way for them to repackage and rebrand, them saying like, we're going to be releasing less content. It's not necessarily a bad thing though, if it's a little bit less content, if in doing so they're improving the base of the game, they're improving that structure that desperately needs to be improved and has been put on the back burner for so many years now. If that's the trade-off, I'm 100% fine with that. So, as with all of these letters, it's great to see what's going on in the dev side of things, but time will tell what actually happens. You know, like we need to seriously address Cyrodiil performance. Well, we'll see. We'll see. You know. But this is a lot more than I originally thought we would get in this dev letter. And I do think if they actually stick to what they're saying here and we get like 90%, 80% of this, I think it's a win. You know, but I can just see at the end of 2025, our Cyrodiil performance experiments didn't work out as planned, but we are still dedicated to addressing Cyrodiil performance, you know, and it's like year after year, we see that same thing. And so as much as I want to be optimistic and as much as I want to believe that it's going to happen, I just can't buy stuff like this until I see it anymore. There's been too many years in the past that I've bought into it, and then it doesn't happen. And I get hyped again the next year, and it doesn't happen. And then hyped again the next year, and it doesn't happen. And you know, you can only do that to yourself so many times before you just start saying, okay, these are just words now, until we actually see it. But I mean, this is a lot for them to dig into and overhaul. And I think they're at least what they are saying that they're focusing on. These are the right things they should be focusing on. Someone in chat also mentioned gear sets, and I think that's something they underestimate how important that is to people. And the state of gear in ESO is just, it's such a mess. It's such a mess right now, and it needs a complete overhaul and revitalization. But that's a topic for a different video. But yeah, this is really interesting stuff. I'm glad they went into a lot of details here. Thank you, Matt, for the letter. Thank you. Delete like 500 sets. If you're wearing any of those, replaced with Order's Wrath. Yeah. Remember when they tried disabling Prox and Citadel for performance like 5 years ago? Yeah, and then they had non-proc campaigns, and then they got rid of those.
Hi.
Go up and go on here. Funky on O. There we go. Them addressing community's complaints now, and not all those past years tell me things are not great as he says it is. Yeah, it does feel like a bit of a panic in that it's like, oh, player numbers are dropping drastically. I guess now we'll do all these things people have been asking for instead of just churning out our chapters every year. Hopefully, since they aren't doing a big chapter, they can do smaller zones like Central Elsewhere. Yeah, fill holes in the map. I think that would be good. I don't know, Sean. I think there's people that could. I think there's few people that would have the passion and desire to spend 10, 12 hours a day making gear into something beautiful and awesome. But don't have high expectations. You should have a more in-depth look at their new experience. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm going to obviously follow as the year goes on and check out what's going on. And you know, I've always been someone who gives them credit when they do good things, and they often do. And I also don't typically hold punches when they do things that I disagree with. So, you know, I'll keep doing that throughout the year like I've been doing. You know, I'm interested in the new dungeons coming and all that, so. Game here. You're not paying for Battle Pass? Oh, you think they'll do paid Battle Pass? I think that I think if they have the season and they have a paid Battle Pass and they don't have like a yearly chapter expense, I think it's fine. You know, a lot of games they'll do stuff like there's like a free track on a Battle Pass and you get some cosmetics and some stuff, and then there's a paid version where you just essentially get more cosmetics for doing the same thing. They often end up being pretty good deals if you actually like the cosmetics. Like Diablo 4, for example, has their paid Battle Pass is like $10. And you get quite a few cosmetics for $10 in the Battle Pass. Now, that said, if you don't like any of the cosmetics, obviously it's not a good deal, but if you do, then it's yeah, I mean that's pretty cheap. It's cheaper than buying a chapter for sure. And yeah, the Golden Pursuits are kind of battle passes. That's true, in a way. So they might add on like paid tracks on top of that. I mean, obviously they oh, you know what? Let me see. Forgot what I was saying. Wonder how much them unionizing has or will affect them with the game if ESO does not satisfy us. ESO is a dead game. They should shut it down. That is a funny meme going around. It's like, Dad, why is my name Daisy? It's because a daisy fell on your head when you were born, so we named you Daisy. Dad, why am I named Rose? It's because a rose fell on your head when you were born. And then the third one says, the third one, his name is Brick, and he says ESO is a dead game. Yeah. I probably butchered telling that, but ESO is not dead, and it's far from being dead. Are player numbers down? Yes, it's indisputable. Right? Like it's indisputable that player numbers are down. It's clear. That doesn't mean it's dead. It's such an over exaggeration people use. People have been saying ESO is dead for like 10 years, essentially. People have been saying ESO is dead for like 10 years now. That is a long time to live for something that's dead. Oh, I got some crown crates. I haven't done this Golden Pursuit thing. How do you take the writ quest so fast? It's an add-on. Dogobon's Lazy Rit Crafter. It's based on your ping, how fast it can take them. So I live in Texas, where the servers are, so my ping is really low. So it takes the quest super fast. If I do that on EU, it's a lot slower. Like, I'll log on to EU and show you. You want to discriminate? Go play politics? Who are you talking to? How am I discriminating? ESO, it did feel very dead when they did that shard update, which created a bunch of empty instances of zones, but now it's more lively. Yeah, I mean, ESO is far from dead right now. It has never been even close to being dead, other than maybe like around the first year of release and a little after, before the 1 Tamriel update. There were moments in there when things were not looking so great, probably, but they turned that around. They turned that around and ended up with way more players than they had before 1 Tamriel. Let's see here. So yeah, I'm on EU now. It'll go a lot slower. Hi. I guess it's still pretty quick, but it's certainly not as fast as it was on NA. Paris, thank you for the 9 months. Appreciate it. Big time from ESO is over. We don't know that. We don't know that. Oh wait, I have the wrong setup for writs. We definitely don't know that. It could be, or you know, this could just be a valley and there's a really nice peak still to come, you know? On EU, I have 160 ping. Not too bad. On NA, I usually have like 40. Pretty awesome. My philosophy on games: do you have fun? Yes. Keep playing. No. Stop playing. Exactly. Exactly, Booch. That's exactly it. And that's why I've been taking a big break from ESO, because I wasn't having fun. I wasn't enjoying myself. And I needed to step away and do other things for a bit. And I've thoroughly enjoyed that. I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3, Diablo 4, Path of Exile 2. What else? Oh, I started playing some of the Star Wars MMO. Yeah, I've just been having a really good time playing different stuff. But you know what? It was funny because I logged in for my dungeon group the other night. We just did some like pledges and stuff. And we've been kind of on a break a little bit there too, not meeting as much. And I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing the dungeons. So, you know, sometimes it's nice to just step away for a bit and kind of get a new perspective, go do something else. Oh, my ping's at 455 now. I spoke too soon. Yeah, Elder Dragon. They just released the letter from Matt Fyroor. I'll have it posted up here in a little bit. Actually, I could just post it right now, probably. No, that'll take too long. I'll do it later. This is known as the Valley of the Dead game, to be followed by the peak of it. Okay. No, but you never know. People, like I said, people have been saying ESO's a dead game for like 10 years, and still here, the game very successful. Is it as successful as it could have been with some different decisions along the way? You know, there's no way for us to know. I personally think it could have done even more, but you know, there's just no way for us to know that. But to say it hasn't been successful. Esteban, thank you. It's just silly. You know, and then one day, long time from now, when the game finally does die for real, some guy's gonna be like, ESO's dead. I told y'all. I've been telling y'all for 27 years now. It's dead. Told you. Y'all didn't listen for 27 years. Now I'm right. Okay. Okay, dude. At least we don't have NFTs. Oh god. Yeah, I don't think they're silly enough to do NFTs. Oh, sorry. I was just playing with my cool looking sword. Already attacking innocents. A menace. Where's the EU server? Oh, is it in Frankfurt? Yeah, I was like checking out my sword I had equipped. I forgot what it looked like. Just swinging it and.
Hi.
Hey, what's up, Payne? Did you read that letter? Finally getting the content you always wanted. You get to test the game. That's funny. Famous DJ and ESO player. Yeah, I like watching Payne's DJ stuff a lot. What's up, Pone? 56 months. I mean, I think a lot of the sentiment is good in the letter. I think if they actually focus on the things they say they're going to, that's a good thing. I just need to see the results. You know, I need to see that manifested, right? That's what I need to see. then down at, yeah, and that's what I was saying, like I was saying earlier, the whole, you know, we're gonna seriously focus on Cyrodiil performance line. I just skip over that at this point. You know, for some newer players, they probably read that and they're like, oh yeah, look, they're gonna focus on Cyrodiil performance. They wrote it in the letter here. Yeah, they've been writing it in the letter for the past 8 years. Yeah. Honestly, that part doesn't really bother me, Payne. Because... Is my inventory full? Oh no, my bank is full, I think. Because I'd rather test out something, and if it's not good, then get rid of it, than to have like stuff stuck in the game that sucks. And I think seasons are a great way to do it. You know, other games do that with seasons as well, like Path of Exile and Diablo. I mean, there's lots of games that do seasons, and they generally will introduce some new mechanic. If people like it, it goes to the base game. If people don't like it, it was a seasonal mechanic and now it's done. I think that's okay personally. I'm not really against that. Bit worried they might mess up Cyrodiil after throwing out the old battleground maps. You like Cyrodiil? Yeah, I didn't really like that they just threw out the old battlegrounds maps and threw out the old 4v4v4 mode. I think their fear was that there just wouldn't be enough population to have both modes in the game. But yeah, it's really not a great feeling to just not, like, the maps exist, the game modes exist, but they're just not there anymore. You cannot get to them. That's not a great feeling. I agree. So I hope they don't mess with Cyrodiil too much. Wish there was... Have you seen A Puppy's video on current state endgame? Yeah, I did see that. I think he's got a lot of good points there. I think Puppies and I agree on a lot of things for endgame. We also disagree on a lot of things for endgame, because we kind of speak generally for different groups. But there's a lot of crossover there too. Like and I think we've both persuaded each other on different points from time to time. You know, for him originally, I know he wanted content to just be harder. Like the hard mode trials, he was like, oh, they're too easy, and that's why players aren't interested. And I think there's no denying that for a few hundred people, they are too easy. And so that is a valid point of view, but I think I persuaded him that that isn't the issue with people not sticking around. It's not in the difficulty. Like, just get him drunk, he'll see the light. I think there should be hard stuff for top end groups to do for sure, but right now it's not in a good place as far as like the areas that the content is designed to handle, and they really need some kind of system that spreads that way out. You know, the idea I had were like boons and buffs at the start of every trial that increase or decrease your score, and you can kind of custom tweak your difficulty for that content. And if you want it easier, your score is going to go down, but you can have an easier time going through it. If you want it harder, like even harder than the normal vet hard mode, it's going to be tough, but your score can go up even further. And so that can be like that area that those high-end score pushing groups really lean into by making the stuff even more challenging. You know, right now there's really no incentive to... There's really... It's just about knocking off time right now. And a patch will come in and a couple things will be introduced that allow for slight new ways to knock off a little more time. But actually, like, being able to give those players a challenge just to clear it, to get more score, I think that'd be really cool. But then on the other end of that, players that, you know, for 99% of players, the vet hard modes, especially the newer ones, are too hard. So having something that could push that the other way, but also like reduces your score, you know, and so you have both ends of it there. And so you can meet a lot more, because I think for a lot of people, you just want to be playing in that area where you feel optimally challenged. If it's way too hard, it's not fun. If it's way too easy, for a lot of people, it's not fun. So you want to be like riding that line where it's like, it's hard, but it feels like it's achievable. It's like, this is hard, but we can overcome this. Like that level of difficulty, as I think that's where a lot of people like to be. And, you know, having stuff take like 8 months to get through is not like the reasonable time frame of difficulty for most people. Like that's just too much. With the rewards that are currently in place to clear hard modes, that's, people aren't going to sign up for that. That's I mean some people do, but you're not going to get a lot that do. So spice up the leaderboards, incentivize higher leaderboard scores with the higher difficulty at the start of trials. You know, then the people that make the trials easier aren't going to get those better leaderboard rewards, probably because they're lowering their score to make the trial easier. I see that system kind of catering to a lot more people than the current system is. But I think really it all comes back to the rewards, because like, unless you're doing the trifecta, the trial rewards are either you do a really easy achievement and get something okay, or you do the pinnacle every achievement, the hardest of the hard, and get a mount. And the in between are just not good. So like for someone that says like, okay, the trifecta is just not something I'll ever be doing, that's way out of reach for me. You know, maybe I could do the hard mode though. Maybe I could at least clear it, right? it's gonna take our group maybe 4 months to get this clear, but I think we can do it. We can get the clear. What do we get for that? Oh, some face markings.
Hi.
So you end up with, unless you just have that personality where you really want the clear, you really want to accomplish that, people aren't doing it for the reward. But if you had cool rewards tied in to these things, people would do it for that. People would be like, all right, I'll put in my 4 months of 2 nights a week and get this super sick cosmetic out of it for doing it. You know how many more people we'd have rating if that was the case? But it's tied behind doing the pinnacle, like trifecta, to get anything cool from them. So, you know, the cool cosmetics are what got me into doing more difficult content in the first place. Like the dungeon skins and personalities and stuff where you had to do the no death hard modes and speed runs. Like, those were the reasons I started doing harder content, because I wanted those cool cosmetics. If it wasn't for those, I probably never would have cared. You're casual and you don't care, by the way, just saying. Oh, that's cool. I'm not saying everyone cares about this, but I guarantee a lot of people do. You know? Just because you don't care doesn't mean other people don't care. Just because you don't care about an issue doesn't mean it's not an issue worth discussing and talking about. Need to move the mount to vet clear and have a house that's made from a section of the trials of try reward. I mean, really, the vet clear I think is fine. You get a skin for that, right? That's all right. The trifecta, that's good. You get a title and a mount. But the hard mode clear, you get some face markings. That's true. You don't even get a skin anymore. I lied. You get body markings. You don't get a you get body markings for the vet, face markings for the hard mode. It's pitiful. You gotta say you liked having the cosmetics for the challenger achieves rather than the try. Yeah, that was cool. Because it was like, it still forced you into like getting into the harder stuff, but it wasn't like super sweaty. It was like that nice middle ground. And you know what? You think they don't want to upset casuals by putting good rewards there, but a lot of the casuals would then try to get better at the game and get those rewards. That's the whole thing. That's my whole point. I was super casual when I started playing. I didn't even know what a taunt was when I started playing ESO. I was terrible at this game. I was terrible. But the cosmetics are the whole reason I started trying to get into harder content, because I was like, oh, that is so cool. I saw somebody run around town as like the little thing from Scale Caller, or not Scale Caller, the other one with the bone dragon. And you see these cosmetic, the Worm Wizard, thank you, yeah, Fanglair, and it's like, oh crap, these are so cool. Like, I can get that in the game, but I have to up my game. I have to get better. I have to go earn it. But they weren't placed behind like unachievable, like just ridiculous top 200 people kind of things, but they were put behind like, hey, you need to go do some harder stuff in order to get this. And it pushed me to want to get better at the game so I could go get those things. So it pushed me from being casual to being more invested into the game. And they've slowly kind of undermined that whole system of progression. And they try to say stuff like, oh, we don't do the skins anymore because we want to do some body markings, because you can do your body markings with your skins. And I don't buy it for a minute. If you go look at the crown crates, look where they put their body markings. They put their body markings in Superior. Look where they put their skins. They put their skins in Apex. That shows you right there the level of reward that they place on those types of rewards. I mean, they have tiered it themselves here. Apex, skin, Superior, body marking. So their whole like trying to spin it like, oh, we're trying to give you body markings so you can. Oh, sorry. Is that in the way? Yeah, my bad. Well, y'all know what I'm saying anyways. So I don't buy their whole, yeah, we're just trying to give another way to, you know, show this with the skins. No, the skins are more desirable. They know that. That's why they list them in the Apex. Anyways, stuff like that, you know, it's frustrated so many players over the years, and they, you know, they've, like I said, they've undermined their reward structure to incentivize people pushing into the end game, which has caused drastic decline in in-game participation. My tuna is not safe for work. How? What's wrong with my character? Is he not safe for work? And I got your first Sunspire vet clear, and it was like, this is a skin. Yeah, that was back when, so yeah. That was back when it was still skins. The problem with the casual in-game divide and the difficulty of bridging the two is so it doesn't teach. You have to learn combat and counter mechanics from, yeah. And that's what I was talking about earlier too. There's not enough within the game. Like there's too much having to leave the game. And that's good for content creators, but it's not good for players. What beard cosmetic am I using? Let's see. Old Assault's Chin Trinket. Old Salt's Chin Trinket. You just want one thing from Zoss, your build with Ravager and Night Mother's Gaze to work again. Did I read the new letter? I did. Yeah, I'll get it posted up. You can also just, if you're on YouTube, you can just go back to the start of this stream if you want to go through the letter. But I'll cut it out and post it as well. Have I have not done a Skyrim stream. No. Well, I might have done a stream of it, but not like a full playthrough, no. I always get ADD when I play Skyrim, and I end up doing other things. Like, I'll start a playthrough again, and I'll get like 20, 25 hours in, and then I get distracted with something else. Happens every time now. I haven't gotten in a full Skyrim playthrough in a really long time. I understand it being RPG. I want to roleplay as this, and the perfect cosmetic slot beyond your reach. Yeah, and I think they should have cool cosmetics behind hard achievements. But they needs to be like layered up. It doesn't need to be like cool things behind doing absolutely zero challenge, cool things behind absolute hardest possible challenge, and then all the in between is just like not really that good. Because if it's layered up, then people will push themselves up through that. Not everyone, but a lot of people will. You know, I had never played an MMO before this. I didn't know anything about MMOs. I played Oblivion and Skyrim. Came into this. I was a filthy casual. I mean, I kind of am now again, but but I had no interest in like getting good at the game. I had no interest in like doing trials. I had no interest in you know, doing things on veteran. Like I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted to play through the game and go like beat up on stuff and have fun with a friend, you know? But based on like the way the game was set up, then it pushed me into wanting to do more with it. I don't know if I'd feel the same way coming into it today. You know, at the same time though, I guess a lot of that content, it still exists though. So for a new player, that stuff in that pushed me is still there in the game. Shadowlight, thank you. Thanks for the sub. A lot of that stuff is still there in the game that pushed me to get better. But it didn't keep going, you know? From like 2021 onward. And so I guess it's more just like you get to the point where you start wondering why you're doing what you're doing, and that's a bad place to be in a game. They did it right with Asylum and the Poly. Yeah, I wish we had more of those from Trials, just random really cool cosmetic drops. Thanks again, Shadowlight. Appreciate you. Yeah, they would need to be really cool though, Blunt. Because, you know, if it's stuff like, you know, the weapons in the Golden Pursuit stuff like this.
Hi.
Like this is okay, but you know, are people going to run hard content for that axe? Yeah, it would be cool if there's more you could just get with gold, for sure. Eagle's Nest, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. You missed most of the stream. Yeah, if you go back on YouTube there, you can rewatch the letter. I'll also post it up when the stream's done. Issues, there are so many cosmetics from the Crown Store. When you first got the Vast, Skinner, Poly, they really stood out. Yeah, that is a good point. That is a really fair point. Back then, those cosmetics really stood out that you could earn in game. And now nothing stands out anymore because there's so much in the game. Yeah, that's a fair point. I don't know what do you do about that? What do you do about that? That's tough. You know what? You know what? It would be really cool. This is a pipe dream, but something I would 100% be all in on. Why do y'all think I'm nude? I have clothes on. Blonde also said not safe for work character. Oh, are you saying to stand out? You walk around nude? Oh, sorry. I misread what you're saying. Yeah, I got you. What did I get? I got these crates from the Golden Pursuits. Let's see what we got here. A little fawn. Okay.
We are here to play, yes? Let us see what the cards may bring. Heart of Mara, a bonus reward. Superlative. Wondrous gems.
Decent amount of gems there. I'll take it. Never home on your own. Nice to catch you. Oh, glad you're able to make it. Yeah, handpan's nice. Took off my costume to show marking. Oh, I got you. 100 motifs fully collected and used 6%. Yeah. And that's been really hard too. I'm in the same boat. I have like almost every motif in the game, and like I remember earlier on, it was like kind of fun to like mix and match what I had to make cool outfits. And now it's just daunting. It's just like I open up the motifs when I'm doing my outfit, and I'm like, holy cow, there's so many things in here. Where do I even begin with this? Oh, but what I was saying, sorry, I got off on a tangent. So my pipe dream for ESO, a fresh start server, everything's wiped clean, everyone starts from level 1, but every Crown Store cosmetic, every cosmetic that's ever been introduced in the game is put behind an achievement in the game. That would be cool. How many people do you think would start new characters on that? I don't know. That I don't think they'd ever do that, but you would. They unlocked on your account. Oh, you're saying you wouldn't want to do it on a fresh start server, but not get it not get it on your main account too. You'd like the option to turn off every single cosmetic for someone else? Tired of seeing fancy mount parts? That's a lot to re-earn. Yeah, it is. But I think a lot of people would sign up for it. I think some people would want to stick with their characters that they've spent so much time with. But
Got plenty of goods fresh off the junk pile.
there are not so many achievements in the game. Every achievement would give 15 to 20 cosmetics. Hey, that's fine. I mean, it doesn't have to be all achievements, like, per se. It could also be like, you know, like in-game vendors. So, you know, some are achievements, some you get with gold in the game, some you get with Telvar in the game, some, you know, like, but everything that's ever been in the store is in the game now. Like, you can get it in the game, is more of what I mean. ESO Classic would go crazy. Yeah. Except I wouldn't want the... I would still want all the systems and stuff from the new, like, from now, right? I wouldn't want to go back to actual, like, 2014 ESO. But at the same time, it could be cool if they didn't have all the content and it released over time. You refuse to go back before the sticker book. Yeah, and I think if they did something like that, a lot of the quality of life stuff would need to stay. Like, a lot of that would need to stay. But the amount of content itself, I guess, could come in incrementally. 0 Tamriel. So much junk in my trunk. Holy crap. I've done this in a while, I guess. They need some in-game options for things like race change. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with all that. It's too grindy. It's too, like, I don't think it's too grindy for a character. For one character. I think for multiple characters it's too grindy, though. Because the first time you do it, one character, like, it's kind of the point, right? You're having that slow progression. You're having everything build up. Collecting perfected sets takes way too long. Yeah, I do think the grinding trial gear takes too long. I agree with that. Unless you're like in a prog group that is steadily clearing. Like those groups get all their gear grinded up super quick. But for most people, it's, you know, I still, like, when I run random trials here and there, I don't have all the new gear from Lucent Citadel, but like, I have pretty much all the other trials stuff. But when people join, even like the older trials, a lot of people still don't have all the gear from them because you have to run it so many times to get it. It's crazy. Yeah, I wish if they had They need to have perfected gear in the chests, but maybe lock the chests up until like maybe before the last boss or something. Kind of like Maul. Maul Lorcaj has that chest room right before the last boss. You could do something like that. Put perfected gear in the chests. What else? Oh, the coffers, the weekly coffers. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Slow. But isn't that only in the hard mode coffers? I think the hard mode coffers give perfected gear, but the veteran. So the veteran coffers also give perfected? I thought that was only Cloud Rest that was bugged and giving perfected on normal coffers. My understanding was that the normal and the veteran coffers give normal gear, and the hard mode coffers give perfected gear. But I think the veteran and the hard mode coffers should give the perfected gear. I mean, think about that. Like, once a week running a trial, that's like already doubling how much you would get if you got some in the coffer too. That would help a lot with farming the trials up. But they don't have, I don't think they differentiate coffers between normal and veteran, do they? It's just the same blue coffer. I thought normal and veteran give you a blue coffer, and then vet hard mode gives you a purple coffer. Yeah, I absolutely think they can. Nook, I think they can revive it. But it's going to take a lot of them making good decisions with it. Never use perfected gear. Feel like the bows are just met. Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't need perfected gear in ESO. It's definitely not needed. But it's, you know, it's still nice to have. And it's a pain to farm for most people. The coffers have different IDs. They just look the same. Okay, so the normal and the vet coffers do have different IDs. So the vet ones do drop perfected gear now? Is that what y'all are saying? That's great. Yeah, I mean that's how it should be if that's the case. That's really good. I know I ran my last Lucent Citadel. I have a Ghost Light bottle here. Go turn that in. It was only a few weeks ago, so, or maybe it was like a month ago. I can go test it out. That was on vet. It wasn't a hard mode. There, it was just vet. Vet should have purple coffer. Hard mode should be double drop in the coffer. Yeah, RJ, I think that's a great idea. Maybe the hard mode could have a gold coffer. It has 2 pieces of the gear in it. Alright, so he's got the Ghost Light bottle. Got some transmutes down here too. Also, why do the non-DLC pledges give you 5 transmutes, but then the DLC ones 9 times out of 10 only give you 2? I never understood that. That's a weird design to me. Let's read. Thanks for the follow, Proto. Want more rare drops like Poly Invest? Yeah. Why don't they stop the losing half Telvar and IC? If they did, the PvEers would come to farm Telvar and PvPers would follow population. Problem solved. That's an interesting idea. If you don't lose your Telvar when you die. Because that's probably the biggest reason people don't mess with it, right? Or if it was maybe a small percent. PvPers, I don't think really care that much if they're getting Telvar when they kill people. They just want to kill people. like the Telvar is just icing on the cake. The cake is killing them though. That's an interesting idea. I wonder if more people would hang out in IC if there wasn't that fear of losing half your Telvar. I mean, I get that's part of like the risk out there, you know. You got to be on your toes because if you die, you're gonna lose your Telvar. But at the same time, that's also, like you said, probably why a lot of people don't go out there and mess with it. You know, maybe they could just have some kind of penalty to dying, but not Telvar loss. The tension's important. I would say when IC came out, yeah, maybe that was more important, but today, I don't know. I don't know if the tension matters when nobody's out there. Reduce percent Telvar gain for 10 minutes after dying. Yeah, something like that. So you're not actually losing anything. But, you know, you go out there and maybe just make a little bit less. No more FOMO, please. Need to buff the amount of Telvar gained. Yeah, Telvar's kind of crazy. It takes a lot to buy anything in the Telvar shop. Yeah, I read it. Nook. You farmed about 150k Telvar last month and ran into 2 people from another alliance. Oh no. Did you die? Did you lose half of it? That's why you just go do it on a Nightblade. You just go and viz and get away. No, you took all theirs. Nice. Okay. That had a twist I wasn't expecting. Alright. Go slide.
Well done, Giddy. It's a good thing. A friend.
Alright, so this is from a vet clear. Yeah, give me a normal non-perfected item. Shade had us in the first half, not gonna lie, exactly. But for all that time, you didn't see anyone else. Oh, wow. Yeah, IC is dead when there's not an event going on. If there's a PvP event going on, where you get tickets and stuff, you'll start seeing people in IC again. And it's pretty fun, but outside of that, there's usually nobody there. I don't know, the first couple of days of the event, at least. The last couple I've done, anyways. It seems like there's a lot of people out there. But yeah, that was a vet coffer, and I just got a normal Lucent Echoes ring. For anyone that was wondering about that. I do like the blue beam pretty well. It's pretty cool looking. Hey, Blueberry. Dueling arena and icy. Yeah, I don't see them adding that. Remember stealth on your mag blade and the days that Rapids gave dodge chance was so nice. Oh yeah, dodge chance. Isn't that what evasion actually used to be? Like on Cloak, major evasion was dodge chance, and they changed it to AoE. Damage taken reduction. Oh, the dodging. Yeah, I remember a little bit of that. Just missing people over and over. It was on the medium. Up evasion, Tava, stand there tanking and dodging stuff while racking in ultimate. Oh, yeah. Yeah, now you got a dodge roll with Tavas. You're on delay in the video. I talked about it earlier. Hopefully harder. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. If you're on YouTube, you can watch any part of the live stream. That's one thing I really like about the I like Twitch's like chatting ecosystem a little bit better than YouTube's. But I really like how on YouTube, if you're watching somebody stream and you miss something, you can just pull the thing back and watch any part of the stream so easy. They make that really simple. Yeah, we spent about an hour with the letter earlier. When does PTS start? They said January for the new dungeons. Well, they didn't actually say new dungeons, but they said something along the lines of the cadence will continue for the Q1 update, so I assume that means we're still getting dungeons. Called Shuffle. Yeah, the morph of the medium. Yeah. Yeah, it's called Evasion at the base morph. Okay. Yeah, that... I feel like the armor lines skills need some work. I guess the heavy one is pretty good. I guess the light... I should say the medium one, the medium armor skill needs some love. It's pretty bad. They've posted a couple additional comments since the letter. One is that we have normal Q1 content for 2025. We'll touch on that next one. Okay, there you go. Flash with the 35 months. Thank you so much.
Dang, I missed it. Now I will have to read.
I'll have it posted on YouTube as well. If you don't want to read. It is kind of long though. He wrote a lot. Medium armor evasions used all the time in PvP. Oh, really? Well, shows how much I know about the current PvP meta. I thought people used other sources for that. Like, I thought if you need the immunity, you normally do like race against time. And then for evasion and stuff, you'd use just other sources of evasion. But I guess, you know, it gives both, so. You do need 5 pieces of medium on to use it, though, which is not doable in a lot of setups. It's definitely not used in PvE. It said 6%, but you swear it was 90%. That's how it feels, yeah. Yeah, I like Quick Cloak a lot. I use that. I use that one a lot in PvE. Get the zoomies and the evasion. And a way to proc my enchantments without light attacks. Pretty good. Wood stuff. You have over 10,000 hours. Only played PvP to get the skills prior to being able to buy them. 80% of your time has been solo. Use ESO to get away from the frustrations, IRL, competition strands. Yeah, I think a lot of people do something very similar there. It's nice to just, you know, sit down. No way, this guy's got the same outfit on I do. That's funny. Yeah, so it has a lot to grind. Disassociating all day. So, yeah, I've been there. What about the new seasons model monetization? They didn't say anything about that. Obviously, there will be some because they got to keep making money. Orbs spam, the good old days versus V King needs orbs. Oh man. Orb spam, yeah, that's a thing of the past. We're keeping a list to help inform what we need to answer and explain more later, and we will. One thing we do want to clarify today are the questions about seasonal content. Our plans are not to remove content such as quests, stories, and new areas like some other games do when a season is over. Oh, I see. That's probably good. I think it's probably going to be more like if they introduce new game mechanics with a season. If they're not well received, or they're very like seasonal specific, they won't stick around, or they'll be like rotated. Like PoE. We'll have to see. We don't really know how they're going to do their seasons. We don't really know. You're concerned with seasons? What are you concerned about? I'm curious. I think it could be cool. All classes kind of feel the same. I think a lot of that's because of the 1 second cadence on everything. If you play Arcanist, I would say that feels quite a bit different. For PvE anyways. And PvP in general, a lot of the classes play quite a bit differently.
Hi.
PvE DPS though, yeah. There is a very kind of same feeling across many of the classes. But they definitely have their differences though. You know, Nightblade has their execute spam that they start working in later in the fight. Templar has their execute beam that has like a bit longer cadence than a normal skill. DK is just straight up spam skills on 1 second GCDs the whole time. Just pretty much do your rotation till the end. Necro has a bit different cadence with their Blastbone skill, Blastbone skill, Blastbone skill. Warden is like sort of like that, but more spread out with their shocks. I feel like there are a lot of similarities, but there are quite a few differences as well. I wonder if they could handle off GCD skills. Oh, you don't like the horse legs? Oh wait, this is a wolf. I think they get some themes on the sessions like PvP, PvE, questing. There's some content to buy, some content to get to. Not sure exactly what you're saying there, Mark. Depends on how you build your character. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, a Siphon was off the GCD for a little bit. That was interesting. Back when Siphon barely worked. God, Siphon was so bad at once upon a time. Now Necros are living that good life, siphoning up corpses. I'm so glad they buffed Corpse Buster. Corpse Burster. I always call it that. Originally when it came out on PTS, it was not very good. And they buffed it like week 3 or 4 of the PTS. And now it's a staple. Yeah, that was a good call. Yeah, 1 second GCD is pretty quick. Like once you get in the rhythm of it, it's not bad, but I think starting out, most players are quite a bit too slow. And especially like doing things in the optimal order, that's when it gets tricky. Doing it at the 1 second mark and also like hitting each skill in the right order you're supposed to. Yeah, I think most players are quite a bit too slow in going through their rotation. With the change update schedule, that means ISETs in 2020. Right around when they finished the hybrid system. Yeah. That's one thing they didn't mention in that letter, and I don't know if they're ever going to mention again. It's like they just halfway did this hybridization system and didn't finish it, and just left it. Like, okay, that's good enough, I guess. But that's part of what I was talking about earlier, saying like the foundation is extremely wobbly, that they keep stacking all of this new content on top of. But then they add in the new stuff like the hybridization. They make those changes, and then they don't finish them, so it doesn't sturdy it up at all. Hybrid seems to have killed light body gear. Yeah, I had an idea for a mythic that could make light gear more interesting in PvE, but yeah, I mean, it's good solo or like for dungeons when you're not optimized and stuff. One of the experiments you hope takes place is reworking weaving. It's so disorienting to play legit any other MMO and come back and needing to spam left, right, left click, right trigger while mashing buttons every second. Yeah, that's a tough one because a lot of people really like the light weaving, and a lot of people really hate it. I like feeling like my right hand is doing something while I'm pressing my skills. Because I'm moving with WASD. I'm doing my skills with 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5, you know? And so when I'm not clicking too, I feel like my left hand is doing all the work. So like having the right hand also clicking just kind of keeps that part in it engaged a bit. But I don't know if it has to be clicking necessarily. Like what if they did something like you could assign one button on your mouse to hold down and it just spams light attacks if you hold it down. And then one button you hold down spams heavy attacks. Like you could keybind both of those. So you could click to light attack, or you could hold down a button to essentially spam light attacks. Or you could hold down a button to heavy attack. Yeah, and a lot of people just do like the light weaving, and a lot of people don't. I mean, it's one of the biggest like clashing points in ESO, and it has been since the beginning. Tendonitis incoming, yeah. To get one of those MMO. Yeah, I mean, my mouse has, I have dodge on the side mouse button. I have bar swap on the side mouse button. I have bash on my middle mouse button. I have block on my right, light attack and heavy attack on my left, and then my synergy key is also on my mouse. So I have quite a few things I'm doing on the mouse, but for times when I'm not dodging or bar swapping or whatever, if I'm just pressing like my left hand and moving around, feels weird like not doing anything with my right. But yeah, I guess I could get more buttons. I think if I got more buttons on my mouse for the skills though, I'd probably move some of that other stuff off of my mouse. Because then at that point, I would kind of only be moving with my left hand and doing everything else with my right. You don't think hold the light attack spam would feel very good? Yeah, that's true. It might not. It might not. Oh. They should axe weaving. Velothi's there for people that don't want a light attack anyways. Yeah, this is a sensitive topic, I know. Yeah, if you're older, have light attack. Light attack weaving can be hard, yeah. I think light attack weaving on controller is super awkward, personally. Like constantly like doing this on the trigger between every skill. To me, that just feels really awkward. But I also have very little experience on the controller, so I'm sure you get used to it. I think for controller, I would rather not light attack weave though, and just press the buttons of the skills. We need ESO Classic. I think depending on how it's set up, it could be cool. But like I said, I'd want all of the cosmetics, even the crown shop ones, to be in the game if they did that. But I don't think they'd do that. That would get me to play ESO Classic. Are they Tuesday? All right. Thank you all for hanging out. If you missed the letter, going over that, I'll have it up on YouTube. Thank you all for joining me in the stream today. Appreciate it. I'm going to go right over to Spantifical. She's awesome. I think she's doing some IA right now. So go say hi to her. And yeah, be looking out on YouTube. I'll have this posted up there if you missed it. Thanks for hanging out. This was fun. I'll see y'all soon. Bye.